Okay, so hi everybody. Welcome to our December online event for the BALS Research Synthesis in Applied Linguistics SIG. My name is Sin Wang. I'm the convener of the SIG. Very nice to see all of you here. A lot of familiar names in the room. Nice to see some colleagues joining. I know for some of you it's quite early in the morning or quite late, so really appreciate it. Obviously, I'm sure the topic of today's presentation about AI-supported evidence synthesis draws your attention. So I'm going to hand over to Mel in just a second to tell us a bit more about this, especially using the EPPI Reviewer software. But just a warm welcome to everybody. For those of you who have signed up for more than one session today, just to provide a rundown for today's event. So the first hour will be a presentation by Melissa Bond on EPPI Reviewer, and then we'll take a short break. And if you're rejoining for the second event, which will be the soft launch of a new Taylor and Francis journal called Research Synthesis in Applied Linguistics, and then another short break, and then we'll have the AGM of the SIG, where we'll have some reports on the events and activities that we held in the past year, as well as election of the committee members. All right, so without further ado, I'm going to introduce our speaker today, my very dear colleague, Dr. Melissa Bond. So Mel is a research fellow at the EPPI Center at the University College London and the National Institute of Teaching, as well as an adjunct associate professor in qualitative evidence synthesis at the University of Stavanger. Her research focuses on improving evidence synthesis methods and researcher capacity, as well as the use of digital evidence synthesis tools alongside research in digital learning and teacher education. Melissa is a co-editor-in-chief of the Review of Education journal published by the British Educational Research Association, a founding editorial board member of the Nordic Journal of Systematic Reviews in Education, and a member of the Center for Open Education Research. Mel, it's very nice to have you with us. I will hand over to you.
Thank you so much. And thank you again for the invitation. It's always lovely to be here. I'll just share my slides. Okay. Yes, thank you so much for that introduction, Sin Wang. I am here today to talk about AI-supported evidence synthesis, and in particular, how the evidence synthesis software EPPI Reviewer can help you do that. Now, Sin Wang has already sort of introduced me a little bit, but yeah, so I am a research fellow at a couple of different institutions, and a lot of the work that I've been doing has been in, I guess, capturing and understanding the extent to which we have evaluated already the range of digital evidence synthesis tools that are available, and especially those that do use AI to support, I guess, more efficient and more effective processes. And so one of the roles that I'm just currently studying, actually, is I'm being seconded from the Epicenter in a part-time capacity to assist the UK Federal Government Department for Science, Innovation and Technology use AI evidence synthesis processes to speed up I guess the chain of evidence to really influence and affect policy, particularly in the AI Directorate for the government. So, we know that there are so many different types of reviews out there. There's lots of different types of evidence synthesis. And this is a combination that you see here between the work of Anthea Sutton and colleagues, and also the work that's being done by Fiona Campbell and colleagues, looking at the different types of evidence synthesis that we are currently using. And I mean, this isn't it. There are more. And there's also the question, of course, of bibliometric reviews and how they fit into the review family. But I wanted to showcase this because EPPI Reviewer itself is able to support all of these different types of reviews in various different ways. And the work that I've been doing has predominantly been, in terms of my evidence synthesis work, has predominantly been in digital learning. So I do a lot of evidence synthesis looking at, for example, AI applications in education across different life courses. I do a lot of evidence synthesis looking at the impact of technology on student engagement in its different various forms. And throughout all of these reviews, what they have in common is that I've used EPI Reviewer to be able to support me to do this. So lots of different methodological approaches, but using the same tool. And so I wanted to share with you today the different ways that EPI Reviewer can support you at the various stages of a systematic review, or indeed any evidence synthesis that you're wanting to undertake. Before I do that, though, I wanted to introduce you to another passion of mine, which is the quality of reporting of evidence syntheses. And this is a tool that I have developed, which was adapted from the AMSTAR 2 and the DARE quality appraisal tools. And I developed this because when you are conducting, for example, a review of reviews, or an umbrella review, or a meta review, depending on your approach, we come across, especially in interdisciplinary topics, we come across so many different types of evidence synthesis and so many different disciplines that may have a slightly different requirements when conducting evidence syntheses. And I found that it was really important to be able to appraise the quality of those syntheses to come up with this tool. So I wanted to take 1 minute of my time to just mention how important it is for you when you are reporting your evidence synthesis work, that you consider these questions and these different aspects within your reporting when you're both planning and then writing your evidence synthesis. And I have the link there at the bottom, and I'll be sharing these slides after the presentation. Now, I did present to you, to your SIG back in May, and I've already shared a couple of slides around digital evidence synthesis tools. But I guess I wanted to just briefly mention, that there are so many different tools that you're able to use. And sometimes some digital tools are more effective or appropriate to use at different stages of your evidence synthesis. We also know that there are some very recent, more AI-supported tools that I guess on the face of it allow you to produce evidence syntheses really quickly, or at least seem that they are able to do. But if you take away anything from what I'm about to share with you, it is that there are not enough robustly undertaken evaluations of these tools. In fact, for some of the tools on the screen, no proper evaluations or experimentations have been done to ensure that these are safe and reliable to use. And I also wanted to remind you, of course, that the difference between some of these different tools here, for example, ChatGPT, connected papers, and so on, is that, for example, ChatGPT is a large language model. It isn't an academic database, and it isn't trained on all of the research out there, and that obviously influences and impacts the answers that you're going to get from some of these AI tools. So, EPI Reviewer. So EPI Reviewer was created at the Epicenter to support the methodological work that we do. And because of that, that reason, it is very flexible in the way that it can be used, which is great in that it does support all of these different types of evidence syntheses that I showed you on the slides just before. But it does mean that when you first log in, it can be a little bit overwhelming because it doesn't necessarily step you through within the software as a wizard might. For example, if you've ever used Confidence, it is set up so that it is a wizard step by step. But the great thing about EPI Reviewer is that, of course, it is web-based, which means that you only need to have an internet connection and you're able to access it. And it does really help by integrating a lot of the processes that some of these individual tools that I showed you on that big slide with all of the different, the list of different tools, it actually combine some of that functionality within the one place. Now, when you go to sign up for EPPI Reviewer, this is what you'll see. This is the gateway. It's kind of the back end of the system. And this is where you would go to create your account or to perhaps update your details, perhaps add someone to your review if you're wanting to work together in a group. And I already have a range of how-to videos available on our YouTube channel. And I've also got here in the slides a range of step-by-step hands-on activities that you could do in your own time outside of this particular webinar to enable you to become familiar with EPPI Reviewer and to start going through it in a sort of step-by-step way. So that folder link you've got access to. And again, I will share these slides at the end. The actual software is on a different website. This is it here. So it's eppi.ioe.ac.uk/EPPI Reviewer Web. And this is an example of the screen that you would see if you had been conducting your review within EPPI Reviewer. I'm just going to ask if everyone could please mute their microphones. That would be wonderful. Thank you. Okay, so at the top there, you can see that we've got a really quick overview of included items, excluded items, and anything that you've marked as a duplicate. You're also able to create new reviews from within the platform. So you can do that here, or you can do it in the account manager screen that I showed you before. And here you can see you've got 3 buttons on the home page. We've got My Reviews, My Work, and Sources. And this enables you to either toggle in between the different reviews that you have. You could set yourself or other reviewers a coding allocation so that you're able to manage the workflow of your review. And at any point, these blue numbers are all hyperlinked. So you're able to click on them and go straight to that list of references. And it also enables you to see all of the items that you have imported. So you would generally do a lot of your searching within academic platforms and databases that you would usually search in for a review. And then you would export those search results as a RIS file or as a text file, and you would then import them into EPPI Reviewer. And this screen allows you to see the different files and how many items that you imported at any one time. And the benefit there, of course, is that you're also able to produce a report of your search strategy, of your metadata in regards to your searching, that you're then able to upload to, for example, the OSF or Mendeley data, so that you're able to transparently share your process. But I'll show you an example of that a little bit later on. So going through the different stages of a systematic review, I wanted to point out a few features of EPPI Reviewer, and as well as in particular point out some AI features. So as I said, you would conduct your searching in the most part outside of EPPI Reviewer, and then you would import items into the software. And what it does is enable you to pop in the information of your search, including a search string, which particular databases you've searched in. And as an aside, coming from an editor's perspective, I always like to say that the gold standard for me is searching in 4 different platforms. So an example would be Web of Science, Scopus, EBSCOhost, so that includes databases like ERIC, and Ovid, if you were going to search in PsycInfo, for example. You can also manually add your items as well. But this is a screenshot of a little bit of a close-up on how you can add your search details, search information, so that you're then able to report transparently afterwards. So it helps you with your, I guess, with the different searching stages of your evidence synthesis project. Now, I did say mostly you would search outside of EPPI Reviewer, but what we have is we have the Open Alex platform integrated within EPPI Reviewer. It doesn't come automatically enabled when you create a new review, but you can easily do that in the account manager. And what it does is it uses machine learning to be able to look at the included items in your review, and it will then match those items to the Open Alex database. And then it enables you to very easily find any papers in the bibliographies of the items in your review. It'll identify any citing papers for you. And it can also suggest items if you set it up as an ongoing sort of living review or living perhaps not a living review, but say, for example, you were still in the screening stage of your review, you could actually set this Open Alex up to provide you with an auto update of suggested items for your review that you might include. And then what you can do is you can also automatically import those into your review. You can also create a bespoke machine learning classifier to be able to train train EPPI Reviewer to more easily identify studies that should be included in your review as well. Managing duplicates in EPPI Reviewer is very similar to how reference management software operates, and our algorithm, it has been proven to be quite effective and better than some of the reference management softwares out there. It basically works on identifying one master item, and then it will find potential duplicates, and you can automate the duplicate process, and you can also make it more sensitive or less sensitive as well to be able to speed it up. As you can see on the bottom of the screen, I do have a YouTube link where we've got a video that it tells you how to do these different stages, and I've also got the information in handouts in that Google Drive folder. In terms of your first screening stage, so screening on title and abstract, how can EPPI Reviewer support you to do that? So within EPPI Reviewer, our screening tools are all identified in green. And this allows you, of course, to have your include and exclude codes. Now, generally with software, if you were going to use this to support you in your evidence synthesis work, you would only create codes for your exclusion criteria. And then you would have one code for include on title and abstract. Now, this example shows you a code for include on second opinion, but personally, I don't use this anymore because when you're in a review team, this can create more headaches than solve issues. So that would be my big hint to you there. But what you can do is you can set it up in either what's called normal mode, which is where every coding decision is seen by everyone in the team. And generally you would use this if you're the, to begin with, the only reviewer in your review, or if you've already achieved inter-rater reliability. Or you can set it up in comparison mode, which allows you to do that blind screening. And yeah, again, it allows you, just having this one level of hierarchy, either include or exclude, allows you really quickly to see how many items are included or excluded so that you can report that information in your Prisma flow diagram. So when you are looking at the item details page, this is where you start screening from the beginning. You have your title at the top, you've got your abstract, you can edit the information at any time. The coding tool that you will have created is available on the left-hand side. And you can also use this info box to be able to add information perhaps about your coding decision, particularly if you're working in a review team, so that when it comes time to reconcile your decisions between you, you're able to remember exactly why it was you wanted to include or exclude items. You can also add new codes or edit codes as you go if you needed to. And you can also use this auto advance button to be able to, to be able to speed up the screening process, even if just a little bit. We also have a feature that enables you to identify key terms that you either want to have highlighted in green as relevant to you and your review, or highlighted in red to show that it's irrelevant. And that can really help just provide an extra visual support to enable you to just speed up that screening process a little bit. Now, here is one of the most popular automation features in EPPI Reviewer, and this is called priority screening. So we know from lots of different evaluations that using priority screening can reduce screening burden by up to 74%. And we also have a number of really robust evaluations that we've done to show that the priority screening function in EPPI Reviewer is safe. However, this doesn't mean that EPPI Reviewer will do the screening for you. It isn't a press one button and then all the screening will magically be done. This particular automation aspect will enable you to train the algorithm based on specific codes that you have in your review. And actually, I'm going to point out that this example, this example is not too bad in terms of the codes I've chosen. But I will say that you can only train it on codes where the information would be present or not present in the title or the abstract, which means that you can't train it on codes like to do with date, to do with language. Like if you said not in English, the machine learning wouldn't be able to pass that information. It wouldn't be able to use that to help train it. So you have to be really careful about the codes that you choose. The example that you can see on the screen is from a review I'm currently doing with a range of colleagues, looking at using large language models for content creation. And so you can see that I've trained the algorithm based on whether or not it's school or higher education. Now, again, that can be a little difficult if some of the abstracts or titles don't include that information. But I have used it as one of the codes. We've also got the code not about content creation, not about large language models, anything that's to do with feedback we decided to exclude. So for example, feedback through a chatbot, we decided to exclude that. And then of course we've got our include on title and abstract code. So what we did was we didn't start this running until we had already conducted our initial rounds of screening on title and abstract with everyone doing blind screening. Then we went through multiple rounds of reconciliation between us to achieve a reasonable inter-rater reliability agreement using FlashCap because there were 3 or more of us. And as you can see here, we had already screened over 300, so about 350 in order to, before we made before we trained the algorithm to assist us with this priority screening. So what it does is, once you get it going, it will run the model and it will learn based on the codes you're training it with. It'll look at all of the ones you've included and excluded based on these training codes. And then what it does is it'll sift the items in your review and show you the ones that are the most likely, it considers, more likely to be included from the beginning. And you can set it up so that either one person sees each item, or in this case, as you can see here, N of people screening each item, you can also set it up so that 2 people have to see each item. And then if those 2 people agree, it'll be automatically completed as either include or exclude. Or if those 2 people disagree, it'll be shown to a 3rd person. So that's how we've actually set it up here. Now, sometimes when people use priority screening, they actually will screen up to a certain point. It's what's called a stopping criteria. But, and so if they were using that approach, they would wait until they've got reached a certain plateau, reached a certain percent, where they believe that, or the machine rather, believes that no more includes are likely. And so it's getting to the plateau stage here, but it hasn't quite reached it. Then theoretically, the idea is that you would be able to stop screening earlier. However, Personally, I don't do that. I will screen everything regardless. I just find using priority screening, even if it's psychological, in that it only, I think it makes it quicker, that's still a win in my book. And so, yeah, I still use it and I don't stop screening early. Theoretically, it can be done, and some studies have shown that, yes, there are reliable ways to do that, and yes, it can be done even with EPI reviewer, but personally, I wouldn't recommend it. So there you go. It is a useful machine learning tool. It can help speed up your screening processes, but it will not do the screening for you. You still have to make those coding decisions. Once you have done your screening, you would generally then, I've already mentioned, doing this reconciliation stage. So you would create these comparison reports, and then you need to have these conversations between you and manually reconcile your disagreements and decide who is correct. Who perhaps is the one that has the correct code, whether it's include or exclude, and then you would mark their record as complete. Now, in terms of study retrieval, I get a lot of questions around, can EPPI reviewer automatically find the PDFs for me? Now, the quick answer is kind of, which isn't really an answer, but so there are some manual ways that you can do it, which is either using this find on button and then clicking Google Scholar, or you can click on the DOI or URL. If it's there and it's in blue, that'll take you straight to the PDF on the internet. And if you've got access to it through your institution, you'll be able to download it and then upload it down the bottom. However, you can also now use Zotero, and Zotero is a free reference management software that you can then link to your review in EPPI Reviewer, so that you would be able to export all of the items in your review to your Zotero group library, and then use the bulk find PDF function in Zotero. And then any of the PDFs you have access to will automatically be downloaded into Zotero. And then you would pull, within EPPI Reviewer, you would pull those PDFs into your review. The only caveat there is that because Zotero is freeware, you only have up to 300 megabytes free to be able to do that. And that's on the Zotero side, that's not on our side. So if you wanted, or if, for example, your review had lots and lots and lots of PDFs that you needed to locate, then you would probably need to, I think it's only a couple of dollars to be able to pay for larger amount of access to Zotero's space to enable you to support you in doing that. That is one way that you can automate the process of identifying those PDFs that you need to be able to screen on full text. Okay. Now, once you've obviously got your PDFs and you're ready to screen on full text, again, and one of the main questions I get is, can EPPI Reviewer automatically extract data? What EPPI Reviewer can do is you can run, and unfortunately I don't have a slide with this on it. For some reason I forgot it. But we do have clustering functionality within EPPI Reviewer, so that you would be able to select a certain number of items, click one button, and it will automatically cluster those into various, similar codes into different topics. And it will do it as a coding, it's an individual coding tool, a bit like this, but for data extraction. Now, technically, that's not getting it from the PDFs, that's getting it from the titles and abstracts. So it's slightly different. But what we have been starting to do, and this is very much a work in progress, and is currently only in experimental stage. But at the moment, we are experimenting with integrating ChatGPT's API into EPPI Reviewer to enable us to to use it for both at the screening stage and potentially at screening on full text stage. Now, I'm pretty sure at some point this week, the ability to be able to screen on full text is going to be put into EPPI Reviewer, but it won't be publicly available just yet because we still need to make sure, we need to conduct these, really robust evaluations to ensure that it is safe for widespread use. Just to give you a bit of an idea on how it will work, what you would do is you could set up ChatGPT within EPPI Reviewer to be able to be one of the reviewers in your review. And so what you would do is when you go to edit one of the the codes there, you would put this into the description. So you would have label, colon, data type, // and then the prompt that you want. And how that looks is this. So, for example, if you wanted to summarize population characteristics into the info box, you would put this particular string or this particular prompt into the code description. So you would say population _ description, then the colon, string // extract a detailed summary of the population characteristics. And it works pretty much exactly how you would do it within ChatGPT interface itself. It will then provide you with a sentence or 2 sentences describing the population if the information is provided in the title or abstract. That's the caveat. If you wanted it to insert a number, you could type this particular prompt and it will put it in the info box. And if you wanted ChatGPT to look for example, physical activity, I guess that's a health kind of example, then you would get it to use a Boolean output and say, did the intervention contain a physical activity component? Now, you can already find some of this information on our website, but the stages, like where we're up to with it, and some more examples of prompts and how we're doing it. And this is the link here. Again, you'll be able to have access to that after the webinar. But I'm going to be experimenting it with the EEF, so the Education Endowment Foundation's toolkit. I'm going to be developing some prompts to be able to help them potentially in the future use it to speed up the process of developing their toolkits. And I'm also going to be experimenting it with the DSIT unit. So it is very exciting, but it is very early stages. And again, we wouldn't recommend using it without human in the loop. So without having a human double checking and ensuring that the information is correct, because it can still hallucinate. So we want to make sure that it's not doing that. Okay, in terms of data extraction, I've kind of already alluded to it. No, at the moment, it won't automatically extract the data for you, but our data extraction coding tools do enable you to be able to extract data in any kind of way that you could dream of. So, for example, we have not selectable codes, which are great for headings or classifying codes into themes. We also have, what I did then. We also have the selectable codes, which are great for being able to identify the presence of a variable or an outcome. And of course, you're able to add extra information into the info box. And I don't know why it keeps going back. That's really strange. So here, for example, you can also assign quotes directly from a PDF to a code, so that then any reports that you do, the information, the quote will show up from the PDF. You can also extract numerical data. Again, at the moment, this is manual, but using the outcomes code type. So there you can see an example of from a flipped learning review that I did, looking at the difference between a traditional face-to-face and a flipped learning intervention, and what the information presented. And you can also conduct meta-analyses within EPPI Reviewer as well. Now, just as an aside, if you're planning on using EPPI Reviewer to create an evidence and gap map, and that's something I'm going to show you an example of shortly, You need to just be aware that you can only use your data extraction up to 3 levels. So, for example, you would have author information, author continent, and then you would have the codes as selectable for the different continents. And actually, this structure is a really good habit to get into using. So try not to go further than 3 levels deep, because then your coding tool gets a little bit unwieldy. And in terms of an EGM, then knowing that filters can only have up to 2 levels. So, for example, publication language, and then having the languages underneath that. And if you are creating an EGM, it's important to know that you need to make sure that your coding tool is uniform, so that you should have, if one code has what we call children, so if one code has codes nested underneath it, then all of the codes here would have to have that. You can't have just a couple of codes with children. They would all have to have children to create your evidence and gap map. You can also do inductive coding as you're going through. So if you decided that, for example, a great example is if you were coding the theoretical framework of the studies that you're looking at in your review, then you would start off with having the parent code called theoretical framework. Then you would be able to use that plus icon to add codes underneath and make it selectable, type in the code name, and then click on create. And that will allow you to create those codes as you go. As I mentioned, you can highlight text in PDFs and then click the edit button, and that will automatically assign it to those codes so that it will appear in your reports. And this is just another example of how you can present then the information that you extract in different reports so that you can conduct your analysis. Now, in terms of quality assessment, we already have in EPPI Reviewer, if you click on the black arrow here on the review homepage and then click Import Coding Tools and manually pick from public code sets and then proceed, you will see that we actually already have a whole range of different quality appraisal tools available within EPPI Reviewer. Again, they aren't currently automated, but perhaps we'll get to that point in the future. But they do enable you to not have to bother about creating all of these codes yourself. You can just click on the coding tool here and then click Import Selected, and it will automatically be popped into your review so that you can just start your quality appraisal, which will save you time. In terms of synthesis and reporting, we have a range of different ways that you can create frequency and cross-tab reports, and then you can present them as tables, pie charts, or bar charts, and you can export it to Excel. Now, personally, I don't use the EPPI Reviewer created pie or bar charts. I prefer to put them in Excel, and then I would, use Excel's features to create any fancy graphics that I wanted to. But you can do it. And you can also create bespoke configurable reports. And again, I have a video created that shows you exactly how to do that, which will enable you to, it just makes the analysis so much easier and to be able to synthesize the information so much quicker if you do it in this particular way. Now, something else I wanted to mention is that within EPPI Reviewer, you can automatically and freely create this openly accessible database. It's called an EPPI Visualizer, and this is an example. This is one looking at the use of digital evidence synthesis tools in climate and health that I created. And what it does is allows you to choose the any of the codes that you have in your review. It enables you to freely share your coding decisions with people who have the website address. Apologies for the cat that's currently on my lap. And so what I do is, for each and every review that I create, I will create one of these EPPI visualizers, and then I will put the hyperlink, put the URL into my articles or reports so that anyone can come and have a look at the work that you've done. And it just provides that extra layer of transparency. This is an example of the interactive evidence and gap map that I was mentioning. And so you can see the 3 levels here, and then also in the rows as well. This is another tool that's actually free, and you actually don't need to code the studies within EPPI Reviewer. If you can code the studies using something that will export a JSON file, you're able to use the EPPI Mapper tool to create these for free. The difference between this and the EPPI Visualizer is that EPPI Visualizer, any decision that you make, any coding that you do in your review in EPPI Reviewer is automatically represented in this. Whereas these EGMs, it captures the data at one time point. And so in a way, it's a static representation. So you would generally only produce these at the end once you've finished your review. Whereas with the EPPI Visualizer, you could create it at any point in time in your coding. So say, for example, you had a funder who wanted to see your progress and you wanted to be super duper transparent with them. You could give them this link and say, here you go, you're able to go in, have a look, see some, early results if you wanted to do that. This is an example of the record keeping log that you can produce and then upload into the OSF or Mendeley data. And as I said, it shows exactly what the information was. You could probably even provide more information that I have in this example. So for example, like if you searched for particular years, in this case, I didn't, there was no year applied. If you searched English language only, or any other kind of decisions that you've made around your search, you should put into the description or the notes section there so that someone would be able to take this search string, use the decisions that you've made, be able to apply those decisions into ERIC and be able to directly produce or replicate what you've done. Okay, so in summary, these are some frequently asked questions. I've probably already mentioned them, but I wanted to summarize by answering these. And I might preempt some of the questions that you have. So, can EPPI Reviewer screen items for me? The short answer at the moment is not yet, but we do have priority screening and that can speed up the process. Well, it does. It speeds up the process. We are obviously experimenting with ChatGPT's integration, and we see it as an additional, in an assistive role, never as the sole reviewer role. Can EPPI Reviewer automatically extract data? At the moment, no, but in the future, we imagine that we will be able to do that. Can I do a meta-analysis? Absolutely. Personally, I'm not a meta-analysis person, but it definitely can do that. And or you can even do some of your sort of data extraction, get up to the data extraction stage. You could then export the information and then conduct your actual analysis in another place if you wanted to. There is no need to have to do that. Can EPPI Reviewer automatically produce a synthesis of PDFs using AI? No, and quite frankly, I wouldn't want it to. Whilst some of these tools like Notebook LM, Perplexity, Elicit are like really great for getting a very quick idea of an overview of a particular topic, I would never recommend it at the moment for a rigorous evidence synthesis product. Is it safe to use AI to conduct a review? Not the full review process. However, it is safe in specific circumstances using, for example, the machine learning tools I've showed you today. And in that sense, at the moment, it is safe, but I wouldn't recommend relying solely on AI to produce or to undertake every stage of your review process. Is it safe to allow AI to do all of the tasks? I've just answered that question. Do I have to press a save button in EPPI Reviewer? No. That is one great thing, is that EPPI Reviewer will automatically save any of the coding decisions that you make straight away, so that there isn't any chance that you're going to forget to press save. How much does it cost? So EPPI Reviewer, everyone can sign up to a free 1 month trial. And then after that, generally users would pay £10 per month, but you can have as many individual reviews as you like. And if you wanted to have a shared review, then that would be an extra one cost of £35 a month just for the review. So not every individual has to pay £35. We are a not-for-profit though, and sometimes if you were using, I've got to plug my, hang on, I've got to plug my computer in. If you were using EPPI Reviewer to teach PhD students, for example, how to conduct evidence syntheses, then you would be able to contact EPPI support and we could work out a very cheap deal for you to be able to do that. Well, finally, I get asked a lot, where can I publish my review? Now, obviously, you are in applied linguistics and you are going to hear today the soft launch of a very new and exciting journal that you're able to publish in the field of applied linguistics. But apart from that, obviously, there's the, I think it's called the Applied Linguistics Review. Then there's also the Review of Education, which is one of the journals that I co-edit with Sinwang. And there are lots of other places that are very open to having evidence syntheses published. But if I could just leave you with that thought to ensure that you use appropriate guidance to help you when you are writing up your review. For example, the PRISMA guidelines and also the Quest tool that I've developed, just to make sure that you are being as transparent and reproducible as possible. So I'll leave it there and hopefully I've got a few minutes to be able to answer any additional questions that you might have. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mel. That's very, very useful. A lot of information for us to think about, and a lot of examples as well. And good to hear about the latest developments of EPPI Reviewer. That's all great. Thanks, Mel. So I guess we still have around 12 minutes for questions. So if you have a question or comment, feel free to pop it in the chat, or if you want to ask the question yourself, of course, please raise your hand and yeah, Mel's here to answer any questions. Yes, Kim, go ahead.
Hi, thank you. I have a very naive question. I'm new to all this evidence synthesis stuff. This looks amazing. What do you think is standing between where we are now and everybody using this? Is it just awareness?
Yeah, definitely. I find that a lot of people know about Rayan, for example. Rayan used to be free completely, but now it's not. They're moving more towards a paid model. And to some extent, people know about Covidence, but because we are a not-for-profit, we've developed it in a small center at one university. We don't spend any money advertising. So it's often like a word of mouth thing, and who you know, and maybe you might read in an article that a researcher has used EPPI Reviewer, and so then they would think maybe I'll give that a go. But yeah, I guess that's what's stopping is simple awareness that it exists. But yeah, it's a great question.
Thank you so much. I'll really value having the slides to study more.
And there's also I've got a lot of recorded presentations as well. I'll share my website link as well, because I've got them all there in my website. So there's lots of information, hopefully will be helpful.
Amazing, thank you.
Okay, Alia, you have your hand up. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. I don't actually have a question as well, but I just wanted to appreciate the presentation, Melissa. It was really informative. And I was thinking, I believe when we get the PowerPoint as well, we probably would need a second session on this, some sort of a workshop to do, because it was a lot of information and very solid information, I would say. So just
yes. That's a great, I apologize that I decided it was more, I only had an hour, so I thought,
no, this is fantastic. Just the right amount. For us to, work on it and maybe have like a follow-up questions at some point. I don't know.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, but I guess that's why I'm providing some of those as well, some of those step by step. Like I've got really step by step instructions on how to do the different processes in your review. So, and I am planning to write a book, but it just hasn't happened yet. But I'd love to give you a workshop with more hands-on kind of instructions as well. I think there was a question in the chat. Hang on, I haven't got it open.
Yeah, that's about the slides. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
Yeah. And also, just for everybody's information, if you search EPPI Reviewer and Mel's name on YouTube, you'll find tons of tutorials. So don't worry about it. It's like Mel is personally tutoring you, guiding you through every stage. So yeah, there's a lot of resources out there. Mel has done tons of work on this. So Mel, I just wonder, I'm just so curious about AI, and you mentioned ChatGPT as well. I wonder if there is a plan to have almost like a chatbot function in EPPI Reviewer where people can ask questions about how they kind of use the tool, because I think it will be it will help a lot in terms, for example, now I'm going to extract data, how should I do it, and where should I go to and stuff like that. Is there a plan to do that?
Okay, so there's not currently a chatbot for that. However, that is a really good question. However, on each page within EPPI Review, so I'm logged in at the moment to some random review that I've got there. Say, for example, you weren't sure how to create a report, you would be able to click this blue, hang on, I'll just zoom in because it's tiny. You click this blue help button, and on every page we've got integrated information about how to do it, for example, a frequency report, step-by-step instructions, and it's specific to the page that you're on. So it's not a chatbot per se, but it does have all of the kind of instructions integrated in that page. So if you need to know how to do something, you're able to click on that blue help button and it will show you how to do it. The idea of a chatbot, I think that would be cool. I mean, some of the pages, some of the help have GIFs, so like little recordings, little videos to be able to take you through certain things that you need to do. But I will feed that back. That's really good. It's a good idea.
All right, thanks, Mel. With two questions, Shah, you go first, and Tim.
Thank you, Siwon. So this question is about it's more like a follow-up of your question about using ChatGPT or integrate ChatGPT into the EPPI Reviewer. I'm just thinking about the how quick the latest model of ChatGPT can be integrated into the reviewer, because we know it's kind of changing on a daily basis. And now if we know how to write the prompt, we can already engage the chat box function of ChatGPT to do the review anyway, to extract data, for example. And that would be great if it can be integrated. I'm just wondering how we can make sure that we can like integrate the latest model, latest functions to make it more useful.
Yeah, thank you. That's a great question. So, for the life of me, I can't remember exactly which model is currently in there, but I know that the development team will always ensure that if it's not like the very latest, it'll be like almost the current model or the best model that's able to be used. The difference between, and when do I see it? I guess the question is kind of, when do I see it being able to be used? I'm hoping it's a matter of like a couple of months rather than, a year. Like we're doing a lot of work on it at the moment to try and speed that up. The difference is if you were to use ChatGPT to upload PDFs, like where is that? There are ethical questions around that, like lots of ethical questions around, have you selected whether or not it's going to be used to train ChatGPT, but also like how accurate it is. There are lots of, I won't go into it, but so I'm hoping in the next few months we'll be able to have enough robust experimental evaluation to be able to say, let's go, everyone can use it. So I've got to get off my backside and start doing it myself so that I can also, contribute to that and make it quicker for you. Yeah.
Thank you. I really look forward to that. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Tim.
Hey, can you hear me okay? I'm not sure this is a new...
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah. So, I mean, I just want to say thank you. It's kind of, I've been working on similar stuff as part of my PhD,
Oh, nice.
but I have a really messy, horrible Python script. So it's much nicer to see sort of a nice, pretty sort of user-friendly version, because people keep asking me, oh, can I do this? Because they want a big red button that they press and they get a systematic review. And I say, you shouldn't want that. And also, you probably don't want all my Python code. So so thank you for doing all this work to kind of make this stuff more accessible. And I just echo, like, I found it's really good at extracting some data and not others. So people have to be really careful with it. My question was more about, I'm interested in how replicatable it was, because I was going to use a priority one, but the version I saw then was kind of like, if you've done the priority, what did you call it earlier? The priority algorithm or the
Priority screening?
Priority screening. It's kind of like, if someone wanted to do a follow-up review in 5 years' time, the version I saw wasn't able to do that. And I think it's kind of like one of the nice things about being able to do stuff with AI in systematic review is kind of the ability to pass that on to someone else and have someone do a follow-up in 5 years' time. So I was just wondering, like, how you'd approach that, and if there were any options, and if I could go back in time and tell my past self, oh, just go do priority screening, because it saves a lot of headaches.
Yeah. Okay. So so what I'm doing at the moment is, and I've just I've only just started using it myself in the last sort of 2 years, priority screening. So what I'm doing now is I take a screenshot that you do, like the screenshot you saw in the slide of the priority screening of all of the, what am I trying to say? The different decisions that I've made on how I've used it. And also, I guess, reporting which version. I can see what you're saying about which algorithm you're using, but if you've got access to the exact studies that I use, the exact decisions that I've made, the exact codes that I've used to train the model, then theoretically, like, that part of it can be, like, you can replicate the process. And I've been providing that screenshot, even if it's not like the nicest thing on earth to look at, in my articles, so that if someone wanted to replicate how I did it, they'd be able to, theoretically. Obviously, you have to have the exact data set, like, to replicate with that data. But if it was an update, then you wouldn't be using the same data anyway. So as long as you were using the same choices in the steps, like the same the same setup, basically, then you would be able to use it in a similar way, theoretically. Yeah, but you're right. The algorithms, the functionality changes over time. So you can only be as transparent as you can be. So as long as you provide all of the information, all of the steps, all of the settings that you used, then I think that's really good practice. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I think they changed the algorithms without telling you they've changed the algorithms as well. So you have to be really careful with stuff like that. So yeah. Okay, thank you. That's really helpful.
And Mel, I think Tian has a question about subscription in the chat. It's about the price plan for institution, and can users subscribe for a month? Can you say a bit about this?
So we do have a site license option, which enables you to get a discount depending how many people you want to have access and how many shareable reviews you have. But it's not like an easy answer, because the more, obviously, we've made it so that the more you have, the cheaper it is, in a way. Like, the greater the discount, I should say. So to find out that information, the best thing you can do is conduct EPPI reviewer support, and I'll just pop the email address in the chat so that if you were interested, you could contact them. And they are brilliant, absolutely brilliant in supporting. If you've got any issues or any questions at all, they're really fantastic. So, yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. Thanks, Mel. I'm sure we have a lot more questions, and as others have said, if it's a workshop or even a course, it will be fabulous. I know Mel is running a few of those and planning to write a book about this. So I think a lot to expect. But yeah, I think it's very useful, Mel, for you to share with us the software a little bit, direct us to the resources, and also some exciting plans for EPPI Reviewer. I guess it's time for us to take a short break before we go to our second session. But before that, just a huge thank you, Mel, for your presentation. Super useful. And thank you, everybody, for joining and for asking the questions. I'm just going to pop the meeting links for the next 2 sessions. We're using different rooms just because I'm aware some people sign up for one particular session, but not others. So I don't want to bombard you with chats and comments and, on Teams. So we're going to start the second session in 15 minutes. We have to take good care of ourselves, take a short break, grab a cup of coffee or tea before we start at 11:15 if you're in the UK, but 15 minutes later for the soft launch of the new Taylor and Francis journal called Research Synthesis in Applied Linguistics. So hopefully I'll be seeing some of you in 15 minutes. But thank you very much, everybody. Thank you for joining.
Thanks so much.
Take care. Have a nice day. Cheers. Bye.